Thank you all for being here. We have about 1 hour for this meeting. But before I start, I'd like to say special thanks to Rocciavia, to Mick and Christina from the ERC, and Eus, the developer, who isn't here, and of course the EU Erasmus Plus program, who funded this project. The flow of this webinar will be that I will continue with a short introduction, and then after that, Christina will give some more background on the project. Tessa, who is with us from Rocciavia, will then explain a bit more about the local situation in Matera, southern Italy. And then after Tessa talked us through the Rocciavia learnings, Mick will present the M&E app. And then at the end, if there's still some time left, we have a quick Q&A. So if you have any questions during the meeting, you can either put them in the chat and the team will try to answer them, or please keep them for the Q&A at the end. And further, if possible, please mute yourself so we can focus on the speakers. So, as most of you probably know from the conversations that we had with you or the emails that we sent you, we think that M&E collected through our framework is crucial, both for the growth of our combined impact, but also of the overall success of the movement. But saying that, we also know that M&E requires time and energy that otherwise might have put into the work on the ground. So it's good to quickly reiterate why we believe M&E, which stands for Monitoring Evaluation, is so important. And Nick described it in the framework, and not all of you have probably seen it, but the first reason why M&E for us, what we believe is so important or so crucial, is that it provides data, evidence, and impact. And once we have evidence, we can share the proven stories and cases with the outside world. And this not only increases our legitimacy and credibility, but also our potential funding. I think there's about 10 million NGOs competing for donation money to limited donor funds. And more donors, what we heard in the conversation that we had with them, is that they find the evidence of impact crucial when they decide who to fund. So M&E really helps us to tell the story, to also get funders on board, and it gives us legitimacy. But at the same time, it also helps us to validate our hypotheses. It helps to understand how our restoration activities affect the ecosystems that we're working on. And maybe most important for us as a movement is that it helps with learning and adaptive management. So good data plays a crucial role in the continuous improvement of our on-the-ground efforts. Think of the ERCs as living labs, where we experiment and through trial and error come up with hopefully the right solutions given certain problems. How can we effectively manage water retention, or how do we deal with salt levels, our compacted soils? By trying, to come up with different experiments, we start to understand, what are the best potentially best learnings that we have. And if we can share those learnings with each other, we will become this living laboratory, or this intelligent network. Of course, most situations are complex and will require context-specific solutions. So it's not so easy to just replicate each other's success stories, but it will help us. Now, Mick has developed this simple to use but holistic framework, our M&E framework, which is also validated by the Wageningen University and Research Institute. And together with the EU, we have tried to translate the framework into an app, because what we found is that it still requires quite a bit of time and effort from the people that do the actual measurements on the ground to collect the data. And in the past, we received non-standardized data, so it was really hard to kind of compare, what is happening, what are the actual improvements, and given the fact that that we believe M&E is crucial, we also wanted to see how we can make it as easy as possible for the ERCs or any project basically to gather that data. So this hopefully is a step in the right direction. It will not only show your own progress, for example, and again, Mick will describe this a bit further on what is happening with soil compaction on a certain plot, but hopefully at a certain point it will also allow us to reference your results with, for example, other ERCs. So we can start learning from each other. What have they been doing on why was their soil compaction so much better than yours? And it creates hopefully a discussion. During the rest of the meeting, we will further look at the Erasmus project itself and the Rocciavia learnings. And again, as I said, we will look at the app. And I would like to give the floor to Christina to give a bit more background on the actual project itself.
Hello, everyone, and good evening, and thank you, Jan-Hein. So my name is Christina, and I work as a strategic engagement and partnerships lead at Ecosystem Restoration Foundation. And I was involved in the RestorACTION project as a coordinator. So the app Jan-Hein just mentioned, just briefly introduced, was developed within the context of this project. And I will just now give you a quick overview of the project, the main activities, the main results, to frame this dissemination event a little bit. So the RestorACTION project, engaging citizen scientists in ecosystem restoration, that was the full name, started on the 1st of December 2023, and we are now in the final stretch of the project, which will officially end on the 31st of March, so just in a few days. The main concrete outcome of this project is the app, this monitoring and evaluation app, which will later be presented by my colleague Mick. And this project was a small-scale partnership with two partner organizations, ERC, Ecosystem Restoration Communities, and our partner, Rocciavia, ERC Rocciavia. So Rocciavia is an organization based in Basilicata in Italy, and is part of the ERC network since 2021. And they were the perfect partner for this project because Basilicata is a region that is highly impacted by environmental degradation, desertification, deforestation, and all the also societal challenges that come from that and from industrial agriculture. So farmers, landowners, and generally the local communities around Rocciavia are heavily impacted by these challenges, and the result is that a general loss of hope and also livelihoods. And Rocciavia is important learning and education center in the region. They provide the communities with a model to revitalize the land, the society, to bring back life to the ecosystem, to the landscape, and they create opportunities for also local community members. So they focus on all these beautiful activities, ecosystem restoration, deforestation, community and network building on their territory. And they work with multiple stakeholders. So beneficiaries in the region include landowners, farmers, many community members. And so this was naturally aligned with the target group of the project, which was in fact adult education. So the project kicked off in January 2024 with a week of meetings and actually a lot of learning in the Netherlands. And the goal of this initial activity was to connect with Dutch-based organizations, initiatives, people that have been engaging in citizen science and have more experience than us and could share their learnings, their insights. So we met with multiple organizations, and now I'm gonna list them because we want to thank them, but please excuse my Dutch. My pronunciation would probably be a bit horrible. So we met with the Wageningen Citizen Science Hub, with the Biodiversity Challenge, Vlinder Stichting, SQ Up, Vang de Watermonsters, NIO, KNEW Naturalis, Waterdiertjes, and Mirgrun. So there was also a beautiful slide with all the logos in case you didn't understand their names. So we want to thank all these organizations that gave their time and availability to actually help us at the beginning of the project, because these initial meetings and conversation were really instrumental in planning the rest of the action and in setting the right tone and direction for the implementation of the RestorACTION project. So then the project continued, and a trial version of the monitoring and evaluation app was developed, which was tested and used during the main on-the-ground activity of the project, which is the weekends for citizen science, the training that happened in April and May 2024 in Matera. And this event was of key importance because it allowed us to train 25 local community members on ecosystem restoration and citizen science methods. And because also it allowed us to collect relevant feedback on the app and its features and functionalities. So the following months were dedicated to the continuous development of the app, and the integration of all the comments and feedback. And now we are finally at the end of the project. We implemented, actually Rocciavia implemented a beautiful dissemination event on the 9th of March in Matera, which was a big success, and 80 people participated. And today we have our final online dissemination event. So to conclude this project overview, and then I will leave the floor to Tessa from Rocciavia, who will speak about the role of Rocciavia and their learnings and experience. I just want to mention that this was a challenging project because we are pioneering an entirely new app based on citizen science to monitor community-led ecosystem restoration efforts. However, it was an extremely helpful and needed project. And on one hand, Rocciavia was able to expand its reach to benefit their target group, so adult members of their local community, the farmers and the landowners impacted by the degradation. So they were empowered and they learned valuable skills to revitalize the lands and the region. And also the role of Rocciavia as a learning center was enhanced. And on the other hand, at ERC, we collected valuable data from Rocciavia from the landscape. And also we developed an app that will serve a global movement of over 80 ecosystem restoration initiatives and the thousands of community members that gravitate around those initiatives all over the world. So we are grateful for the European Union for their decision to support such a pioneering project. And it was an exciting adventure that will have for sure a concrete impact on multiple organizations. So yeah, thank you. And I will now leave the floor to Tessa.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tessa, and I'm part of Rocciavia, which is the organization that Christina just told you about in the south of Italy. So to be more specific, we are in Basilicata, which, I don't know, is the region between Naples and Bari, but it's a region that's not very known in Italy. We have several lands, we are a network, and several lands are part of that network, several fields. Either in Basilicata, but also a few in Puglia, which is the other region, are now joining us. 2 years ago, we bought also a field, and this is our main field, which was bought under the name of the organization, which is located in Oppido Lucano, which is a small town, I think more or less 3,500 inhabitants, near Potenza. which is the main city of Basilicata. And this is the place where we organized for no 3 weekends with ERC about citizen science. Maybe just briefly to give you an idea of the farming situation, because it's the region where I also live. So maybe I can tell a bit about just how it is over there. Basically, if you drive from Oppido Lucano to Matera, which is not a big city in Basilicata, during the summer, it's all yellow over there because there's a lot of wheat cultivation. And basically, this has led to a lot of deforestation. Just to give you an idea, like I can give the numbers, but I think the best thing to describe this thing is, I think like a few years ago, there was a tourist office in Italy that basically promoted Basilicata this way. Sahara? No, Basilicata, come visit Basilicata. So like this is kind of the situation that we're in, like also on very steep slopes. People are still tilling soil, and this leads to a lot of like soil erosion, landslides, loss of biodiversity, etc. Like we know the story, unfortunately. It's very common these days in the world. Anyway, we as Rocciavia want to do something against it, and therefore we want to start this network of lands that focus on ecosystem restoration, to give another example to these farmers that working with the land is not just an annual thing of how if I sow this much, this profit I will get from my harvest, which also unfortunately a lot of farmers are limited to. Like a lot of farmers here also can only think 1 year ahead and not think ahead for many years, as also the economic system, of course, sometimes is quite stressing. So anyway, we still want to find ways to also share with farmers more a mindset of ecosystem restoration, soil regeneration, and these kind of topics. And I think therefore also these 3 weekends that we organized together with ERC were of high importance, where we basically did this monitoring evaluation tests and gave a small introduction to the app. And the thing that I personally really liked about the event is that the practices of monitoring and evaluation can also be quite simple. I think when you think of monitoring and evaluation, like for me personally, but for many people in the group of Rocciavia, it was like this really big thing, like, I don't know, laboratories. And of course, this is also part of it. But together with Mick, we also did like very simple tests, which I now want to explain a bit, which already can give you a clear idea of your soil structure or the situation of water on your land, like if there's a lot of water logging or not. So what we did is on the field, on our main field at Oppido Lucano, we marked 4 areas where we put like a stick or a pole, and we did some tests in each of these areas, which was like a soil jar test, which shows you which kind of soil structure you have. So you basically put soil in a jar with some water, you shake it, and then like it kind of separates the layers, and you see basically what your soil structure is, which in our region it's very clayey. Like we have a lot of clay soil over here. Then we also did some tests that shows more about your soil structure and aggregate stability. So like really simple tests like the drop and share test, in which you fill a bucket with soil, you have to lift it and you drop it, and then it kind of shows like big chunks of soil, small chunks of soil, and it shows a lot about your aggregate stability. Also, we worked with a penetrometer, which there is a picture of this, which is basically a device that shows you more about your soil compaction. Maybe like if you, yeah, it's over there. It's on the left. This is the penometer. Oh my God, I always like mix up this word. But yeah, we had a lot of compacted soil, and I hope this will change over the course of the year. And then we also did other simple tests to look more about water retention. So a really simple test was to put a tube in the soil and then pour water over there in there, and then see how long it would take for this water to enter the soil. And I don't know, for me, it was really nice to see the simplicity of these tests, but already how much it can tell you. And especially if you continue doing this over years, it will already give you quite a good idea of, how can I say, like, yeah, the status of your land and also the progress that you made within your, like restoration work. Like the last thing that was really also nice to make was a moth trap, which basically you put overnight. It's like a trap for moths, and the next day you come and you count how many moths you catch. And yeah, like once we found one as big as my hand, like it was just amazing already with simple tests how much information you can also gather. And then also another important thing that we did was tracking biodiversity, for which also the partner was mentioned, I think, for which we use the app iNaturalist. So also from there, like this one also we continue using. Like anytime we saw like another insect, we added this. And then in the end, we also added our information gathered to the app, which Mick will present later. But yeah, I think all in all, I think it was a great event to also include farmers and the local community to show just another way of, like other way, but also the importance of monitoring and evaluation. And as Jan Hein already mentioned in the introduction, it's something that most farmers don't have the time for or don't give importance to create time to track your progress. But yeah, I think for us it really gave a good realization that it is important to track this, first of all, for ourselves, just to have proof and data of how our work is going, but then also indeed to communicate with the outside world. So then indeed, like a few weeks ago, we organized and this is the picture of this dissemination event that we organized a few weeks ago, in which we presented the app. But then it's also like, for me, also organizing these events in town, like as Oppido is a small town, it's also such a great opportunity to also just get to know the local people. Like every time like somebody from Oppido entered, we gave an applause, like, oh, it's so great to have like also just people from local community here that are curious, that like bit by bit getting to know us, and especially through these events. You're like, oh, but then what are you doing? And it's curious, like, how is this practice? What is this app about? There are also other organizations involved, because, of course, in these small towns in Basilicata, it's also obvious that there's this group active on the ground, collaborating with international organizations. So I don't know, like these events indeed also give the opportunity to work on ecosystem restoration, but also on social regeneration in a certain sense, also for us to connect with the town and the local farmers. So I think that is most of the things I can say about our experience and yeah, the things we did in Oppido. Maybe if people later have questions about it, I'll be happy to answer.
Thanks, Tessa. I think it's my bit now, right, Kath? Yeah, thank you very much, Tess. It's been super nice to revisit some of these pictures and indeed how much fun we had, you know, engaging in this project on the ground. It's been always a premise for me that monitoring through citizen science can be fun. And that was definitely confirmed there. We had one night I'll never forget, I think, a balera, it's called. Christina, did I tell you about it? It's a balera. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So at the end of these 3 weekends, just before jumping into the M&E app, for some context, what we also did was we shared a digital survey with all the participants to identify some of the challenges and user experience issues they had utilizing the beta version of this M&E app. And then we translated this feedback into a roadmap of features that we provided to the developer. And then Eus, who is the developer who so kindly worked with us to make this happen, he's been quite busy incorporating all of these different features and sort of harmonizing the app with our ERC framework. So yes, just here with this slide, a step back on the app. What are some of the goals and the key features we were looking for, as Jan-Hein mentioned in the beginning? For us, it's very important to be able to record all of the different intervention plots that are part of an ERC or an initiative similar to an ERC. What are the different restoration techniques, the different practices being implemented there, and of course, to track the impact that we can observe at this given plot. Standardized monitoring. So obviously by integrating the ERC soil framework as a guide for data collection on these ecological indicators, we want to ensure consistent data tracking across the different ERCs and the different projects. By integrated hub here, what we mean is the app should include not only an overview of the different methodologies and the equipment lists that are needed, which is already something you can find through our frameworks, but also supporting images, video tutorials, again, to ensure that people can access this all in one place. So the idea is that the app becomes a one-stop solution for everything related to monitoring in our framework. Low connectivity support. So the app relies on local storage and works well offline, as we know that many restoration initiatives have somewhat limited connectivity. And then the data is synced automatically when an internet connection is available again. So this is to ensure no information is lost. Another and finally big goal for the M&E app is that ERC, so yourselves and us, the staff, should be able to manage all of the M&E data and our reporting process in a more efficient way. So the app will enable to upload data, but also to access the data, to analyze the data, to export and to share across the ERC network. So all of this should be boosting collaboration and the transparency of our movement, and again, increasing our chances of accessing funds. I think, Kath, you can hop on to the next slide. So here, just a few screenshots to show you what this project management dashboard looks like. This is to be restricted to just the ERC staff and the administrators of each project, which we will soon be populating. So here, I hope it's not too small on your screens. You can see different projects or different ERCs in each of these rows. And what you can see on the panel on the right is that we can add a lot of background details about each of these projects. We can define what language is appropriate to that project. Kath, if we can go on to the next slide. Here, I just did a bit of a screen recording, and this is because the developer is currently busy on the app itself, so I just wanted to make sure you can see this. Some of these data fields here, we can toggle what biome an individual plot is in, what management goals we have, what interventions are being implemented in a given plot, what kind of irrigation practices are taking place. So again, this is all information about what we're doing there. This is not the ecological indicators yet. and it provides us with that background information that makes monitoring so meaningful. Here you can also see that it's possible to upload the actual boundaries of the site or the individual polygons of each site, and then to assign indicators specifically to these different plots and the locations that are used for monitoring within those plots. Kath can hop onto the next slide. Is the same one or is it? Yeah, I think we've seen this one now. Yeah, so just another recording to show a critical feature that I've been working with ERS on is to make sure that we can edit and update indicators at all times. This has always been an iterative process, how we've developed the M&E framework. Actually, as a result of this project, we integrated that moth trapping methodology Tessa was mentioning earlier. It wasn't in the framework before. So here you can see something that makes me really happy. I can add new indicators, the details that go along with each of these indicators, and we're not dependent on just the developer to update this in the future. So yeah, here we can see the images that go with individual indicators. At the moment, the app is still not showing these video instructions, as will be the case by the end of this month, hopefully, but we already have links, so you can access the video instructions also through the app. Okay. Right, so here is a very different view. This is how the app will actually look for most of the users. I'm guessing most of you on that side. So this is the data collection environment, and we're seeing smaller squares here because it's that management dashboard is something that we're designing as something that we can utilize on desktop and in the laptop a little bit better. It's a bit more functional in this way, and this data collection environment is something we want to optimize for the mobile size. So here you can see that we have observation sessions that are coupled to the plots, and each of these plots are coupled to the projects. On the right panel, you see how those indicators are showing on the phone. So you'll have equipment lists, and then the app automatically stores your GPS coordinates and timestamps for each of the observation. If we go on to the next slide. Here is the step-by-step method description, the accompanying image, and in the middle you can see the drop-down fields that go with this example, this indicator of soil texture. And then on the app, as you scroll down, you're able to close a session, meaning you're sure that the data you've collected for all the different indicators is correct, and that will be logged onto the central database. And I think that's all we have for the app. This is what we can show to you at this stage. I'd be very happy to demonstrate live also some of these features. I just checked if Eris was around to help us play along, but I think he couldn't make it, unfortunately. So yeah, just zooming out a bit, this is officially the last week of the project. There's still some intensive development of the software taking place. But we are planning on an actual demonstration of the app in the next month when it's finished and fleshed out, together with the developer himself, where we would love to also invite you to join, to experiment along and get set up yourselves on the app. And until then, we very much welcome any comments, ideas, or suggestions that you may have for these final days of development. With that, I think, Kath, we can open the floor a bit for Q&A and some comments. Don't know if some of these have been dripping in on the chat already.
Yes, there's 2 questions in the chat. I can't see the name, 1 second. Rita is asking, is the app to be used for specific or multiple ecosystems?
Good question. Yes, so the app is designed flexibly, so a bit like the framework. It's not confined to a particular biome, say, or a particular type of restoration. Should be it should be useful for any kind of project, any kind of restoration being implemented anywhere in the world. You can then store the information that corresponds to that project. So what biome you're in, what are the relevant interventions you're seeking to monitor, and then also what are the indicators that you want to be tracking for your projects. Yeah, it's always the idea that this is very permeable because we work as part of a global movement with initiatives, dealing with mangroves, tundra ecosystems, tropical forests, huge diversity there. So that's what we're catering for. I'd say also if there's any questions you have lingering, you'd like to just unmute, feel free to do so at this stage.
Yeah, and Elodie asks if the app is already available.
Elodie, is the app available already? No, it's not available to the public yet. I mean, I suppose you can already sign up with your email and set up your password and so on. But you will find some bugs, as I did find preparing for this call. So I would say it's safer to look at start of April before you can actually log data onto the app.
And I will go to some of the other questions, Mick, and you're probably the best to answer those. From Planet Eaters, can you map polygons for different treatments, habitats, to be able to compare treatments in different parts of the area? I know it's the answer, but...
Wait, I need to break this down a bit. Can you map polygons for different treatments to be able to compare? Yeah. Yes, so you can map individual polygons, and then you can assign individual or specific treatments to those polygons. What I've asked the developer to make sure is that we don't get overlaying polygons for separate plots, right? So we would not want to have double counting on the app or like just mismatching information for the same plot. So I don't know, Paul, if that answers your question, but yes, this is one of the things we're definitely seeking to enable comparison between different treatments or different outcomes for different habitats and so on. Okay, we have some on in terms of the app being available on Apple and Android. It's a bit of a both and type of answer, and actually none of them at the same time. The app is not a native application at the moment, so it's not something you need to download onto your phone. It's actually a web app, and that means you can access it through any browser that you have on your phone, whether that's through Apple or Android. That shouldn't make a difference.
And hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. And I think by April, I think we let be ready for it to take place with the Android. And I think that's because Android will be the easiest thing to collect the data.
Yeah.
Which,
Yes, Joseph, thank you. The app will be and is already developed in a way that so you can open it so long as you have internet. on your browser, right? So that can be on Chrome or Android. I suppose you might be using Chrome or Firefox or whatever browser
No,
you
Chrome.
have installed.
Chrome,
And
Chrome, yeah.
then, yeah, and then you'll be able to use all of its features there. There's no need to actually download any app. So that's in a way advantageous because you don't need storage for an additional app on your phone. Yeah, it should be available on Android. It should be working as well on Android as on Apple. Yeah.
And then
That's great.
there's a question from Andrew. Thanks, Andrew. Adding soil test methods. Will users be able to do this or just the admins?
So, Andrew, thanks for the question. I think the addition of soil tests, we want this to be somewhat moderated at least. So only admins should be able to do it. But anyone in principle who would like to do this can get in touch and be assigned these admin rights for the app. So it's not something we want to totally open up because if we suddenly allow for a methodology to be inputted on the app that then other people will start using, but we don't know whether that's robust or rigorous enough, then we'll just end up with data that we won't find it useful later on. If that makes sense.
And then another question from Paul is if it's possible to integrate iNaturalist into the points to the map them also as we planned or observe them.
Yeah, well, not at the moment, but it's something I'm also alluring ERC into. So trying to explore with him how an API connecting with iNaturalist, but also with Restore. So these are other pieces of software we use for monitoring. Would be possible, but this is at this point still a nice to have given the core roadmap we have for the app to align with the ERC framework. But yes, in the future we would love for that to be possible for the species recognition and so on that iNaturalist is already very good at. We're not trying to reinvent that wheel with this app.
And a question from Conan, can we enter data already recorded into the application?
Can we enter data already recorded to see progress made already? Yes, you should be able to input data for previous years, if I get your question right, by through the management dashboard at least. So not sure that will be possible through the app itself because it's more of an app that you use live on the field and it kind of tracks your geo coordinates, but at least ad hoc you will be able to to add additional data through the management dashboard, and you can also edit some of the observations that you've seen. So say you collect some soil samples on the field, your geo coordinates are stored there, but you're not able to log the I'm going to mention, for example, soil organic matter content until you get lab results. So that's something you can input later on through the dashboard as well. Yeah.
There's a question from Heather, yeah.
Who has access to the information? Another very good question.
Yeah.
So it will stay within ERC servers and restricted. The full database will stay with ERC. But the idea is that organizations in our movement, our partners, will get certain rights to access this information. More sensitive, project-specific data that ERCs will want to input will be protected. These are features that we're currently still iterating on, so I'm not able to tell you exactly how that's going to look like. For example, for the general public or for the research community, what types of data they can access and which ones not. But in principle, it's it's just to say that the data is stored safely, and and we would like it to be accessible to a lot of our stakeholders and the research community as well, to be able to use it. Now, another one from Paul. Paul is saying, when working with an app in a large project, it was good to map invasive species, impacts observed, etc., by adding your own points. Yes, so you can add your own points through the app. This is something that I was hoping to be able to demonstrate to you how to do it today, but there was a bug, so I could only show you these screenshots. But that's something you should be able to log when using the app. So you can just extract the coordinates of where you are. You get a measure of the accuracy that goes with that, and then you can even give a label to that point, and then from that moment onwards, that point is in principle nested in a plot, and you'll be able to add data to that point, you know, in the same year, but also in years to come.
Yeah, and it has a accuracy of about 30 meters or not, what I believe.
Yeah, it varies, but never better than 10 meters normally.
Yeah.
with the phone.
Because
So
otherwise
we're
you get
also
into
looking into alternative solutions for this. Obviously, when projects have GPS devices, the accuracy will be better, and again, it can be updated through the dashboard. But yes, when recording just using a smartphone, that's the level of accuracy we can get.
But you can mark the area, for example, where you did a certain soil test, and then the phone will direct you to about 10 meters away from this specific point, and then you can see your marking and know exactly where you did your soil test.
Yeah.
If you want to do it on a very small scale.
Yeah, so we still advise to have physical marks on the field, ideally like a flag with the label on there, and to then harmonize this with how you're recording those sampling locations on the app.
Paul's on the roll.
Yeah, very good questions, hopefully for others in the call as well. Yes, we plan to be able to plot the data over time. So these are actually automatically generated. We would like to have graphs, if you get different, again, with the same example, soil organic matter contents over time for a plot that you can just access through your dashboard as more data for different years is inputted. And that will definitely happen at a different time scale, but also we are looking at aggregating data at project level, at biome level, so it will be possible to visualize this according to different filters. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm able to see everyone in the room. Does anyone have the hand raised? No, right? Yeah, so just to reiterate, at this point, since there's still some work happening with the app, also if you have any ideas, something that you'd definitely want incorporated, feel free to share them along. One thing maybe I didn't mention that the app also allows is for photos to be uploaded with each measurement. So for example, if you're working with volunteers and they will record a certain score for the drop-in shatter test of our framework or any other test, but they are not entirely sure whether their interpretation is correct, they can upload a picture, and then the project admins will be able to validate this through the dashboard. So that's another feature of the app.
Yeah, and I think if there are no more questions, we managed to have the meeting within an hour, which is great. So thanks, Mick, for presenting the app. We will get back to all of you, and don't worry, you don't have to learn to use the app by yourself. We will guide you through it. We will maybe be on location also to help, you know, with how test the app and help with gathering the data. I really hope at a certain point, as a network, we will collect, or as a movement, we will be able to collect more impact data for the reasons mentioned earlier. And again, I think the most important feature or part will be that, you know, we can start comparing data, and as we are all experimenting and trying to come up with solutions, it allows us to, you know, not only reinvent the wheel ourselves, but to work together and just grow our effectiveness of the work that we're doing. And it would just be so great if we start, you know, sharing our ideas, our interventions, the results that we got, etc. It will create hopefully a lot of discussion, again, this will create this network of living labs, or this collective intelligence. So I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you all for being here. And if you still have questions later on, I mean, feel free to send us an email. Like Mick said, if you come up with ideas like, I wish the app would be able to do this or that, let us know. We're still developing it, and even if it's finished, it will be a process where we will continuously update the app in order, for all the features that we want to be incorporated in the app. So just share with us. It's a joint effort. So we will get back to you. Thank you all for being here, looking forward to continue this conversation.
Thank you, Jan-Hein. Just to add, there's some people entering the room at this point still. There might have been some time zone confusion.
Let's start.
The meeting has been recorded and will also be shared on our YouTube channel for anyone who's missed it. We're coming to a close here. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.